The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Here we go. It's the Monday club, not on a Tuesday because Jonathan was still too rough, but on a Wednesday club. Yes, love it. But it's not just me who's joining. It's not just me. It's not just Jonathan that's joining me tonight for the Wednesday club. Johnny Logue, there was no breakfast bar this morning, so I thought I'd put a nice sort of sunrise background to remind you of the breakfast bar, because I know you love nothing more than waking me up at 8 in the morning and chatting shite to me about Celtic, mate. So welcome to, this is my time, mate. Night time. This is where I come alive, mate. So you might get some more patter off me than you do each week on the breakfast bar. Johnny, how the devil are you, my man?
I'm fine, and it's nice to see you looking a bit more lively than you do on a Wednesday morning. You've got the text message, not this old excuse. People usually use I'm not going to be at work as an excuse. Well, I'm not that I'm going to be at work as an excuse to get a lie in, I'm
in the office, mate. I'm in the office. Jonathan, what's happening, son? You recovered?
Yes, I have recovered. We've entered into a new year, Russell, but it is the same old Celtic, and the performances still somewhat match what we're used to under Postecoglou in certain ways. They struck early once again, Celtic. How many times have they done that over the past 18 months? They struck late once again. How many times have they just done that in the last few months? It's one of the many reasons why we are going to win this championship at an absolute canter, because, believe it or not, Russell, we were absolutely pish at the weekend, and we still got a draw. I mean, if that is how bad we can play and still get a result at Ibrox, and if we're talking about other things in a galaxy far away and, an alternative universe, we might have even won the game. It's absolutely crazy when you think about it like that. No, very buoyant. I think the equaliser has certainly put us all in a good mood, and I think it's pretty much confirmed that championship is coming back to Celtic Park as far as I'm concerned.
I agree, Jonathan. I feel very confident after it, and you're absolutely right. We were pretty pish. Before we get stuck into all that, remember all that good stuff, as the main man Phil McGinley says. So yes, do hit the like button if you've not already. There's over 60 in the house already, on the bus, if you want to call it. On the bus, there is over 60. So do hit the like button, and it will go to over 100 just like that. You never know. If you want to be regularly on the bus, hit subscribe. What are you waiting on? Just hit it. Do it. Do it. There is a bell button as well if you want notifications. If you want to become a Boise Bus member, that the likes of Joseph McGonigal, Celts on the Hill, Craig A, Phil McGinley, Stephen Murdoch, David Ferguson, just the most recent ones there, all have, then by all means do so, but it's completely optional. All the content is free. Well, lads. The dust now really, well and truly, has settled. I had a wee chance to catch up with Phil in the bus stop last night. I've had some of the judges' thoughts, because Judgment Day, ladies and gentlemen, is coming. Judgment Day is coming. Jonathan, I've warned everyone Judgment Day was coming. And that it's now what they say, it's been recorded. It's ready to go, Jonathan. And that will be live tomorrow morning. I don't need to get up. I can just schedule this, Johnny, and it just goes out there. Do you know what I mean? Can we start pre-recording the breakfast bar? That would suit me, mate. But Judgment Day tomorrow. Don't miss out, episode 1, and kudos to Judge Kearney, because what a legend, man. Balls of steel. He was brilliant, and I'm well chuffed with the work we did earlier on. Right, Celtic, top of the table. It's still -9 outside. It's 20 goals as the goal difference. Johnny, everyone will be bold in my pitch on all of this. Tell me right now how it feels to be Celtic from Johnny Logue's perspective.
It feels brilliant, but just to correct you, it might be -9, but it's nudging -10, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely closer to -10 than -9, let's be honest.
But yeah, it's feeling good to be Celtic, as it always is. Was a little bit worried on Sunday when it was 2-1 and we were getting closer to the end and to the game, right? And I'm thinking, are we going to pull this out the bag again today? But we've done it, and that's why we feel absolutely brilliant. And as Jono said there, titles in the bag. Me and Terry have been calling it from about 6 points in front. So when we're 9 points going on 10, we're not losing this. It would be monumental collapse, and it's just not going to happen.
No, I mean, I'm extremely confident about it as well, Jonathan. I share that optimism. I think it's based on reality as well. I mean, the display, we can chew over all you want. At the end of the day, excuse me, that's that Lucasade coming back on me. But you could chew over that all you want. But at the end of the day, what we've seen from Celtic was as poor as we've been this season, bar St Mirren. I think even some of the games we got humped in the Champions League, we played better than what we did for spells on Monday, not Sunday, Monday. But still we get a point. Still we're pissed off with referees, and we're going to talk about them. And yet, nothing changed. We were at our most vulnerable, and nothing changed, Jonathan. Why is that?
Well, I think that's just about the mentality of the team sometimes is what it comes down to there, because there was a calamity of errors made by a whole host of individuals on Monday. But for Kyogo digging us out of a hole that could have been a totally different retrospective put on it, I think Postecoglou gets quite a lot wrong, which, I usually give him quite a lot of credit when he's due it, but I felt he did get quite a lot wrong on that day. He wasn't the only one. Some players' performances were certainly not up to standards, but I think when you're looking at it, the way that Celtic kept going, and I'll be honest with you, I thought when it went 2-1, particularly after we don't get the penalty for Goldson, and the game feels like it's petering out. It actually does feel like one of those times where we're not going to be scoring at all. And I actually went into it fairly relaxed. Even when I seen the team, I still thought, looking at that Rangers team, Celtic will probably still do okay here. They'll probably still get at least a draw. And then lo and behold, we never turned up for a variety of reasons. And then I think, Rangers could have had us, but they didn't take their chances. Celtic always kept going. And I think it's that never say die, that never stop attitude that Ange Postecoglou has got instilled right across this team was what ultimately came up trumps for us. But I think there's still some question marks here over how we set up for that game. I really do.
Well, I'm not sure now, with a wee bit of hindsight. We obviously did a pre-match show and all that, Johnny. We were talking about the lineup, and we weren't sure where the Forest decision was coming from. And then it led to further confusion with the substitution, obviously with Juranovic, who I did tip, to be fair, for Ange to prefer at left back to Bernabei. But then you look at the performance of Juranovic, And then you think, why is Jota not in the team? Or why was Abada not in the team? The two guys who scored the goals last time against them, and you're like, and James Forrest out the cold. I've got a feeling, and like he plays down often refereeing decisions, we are coming to it, don't worry. I think he's maybe played down how bad this illness was, or this bug was around the team. I think you've seen Juranovic there. He had no energy whatsoever. He couldn't move. And I think that, I think there's been players more floored with this sickness bug than what Andrew would ever want to let out, because he just doesn't deal in excuses and any of that bollocks. But I genuinely think when you look at the team selection, the couple of surprise ones, and then you look at the impact or the lack of impact Juranovic had, for example, when he came on, I'm beginning to think there was more of a bug in the Celtic. It's not an excuse for the display, but it does make sense because the team selection, okay, a lot of it was what you expected, but the Forrest inclusion really was a curveball, and not a curveball that made much sense when you consider the options that were on the bench, unless there is more to it. And I've just got a feeling, based mainly, to be honest with you, on Juranovic's actual display. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said before, I don't think he's as good as made out, but he ain't that bad, right? Let's get it right, Johnny. He ain't that bad. Do you think maybe Andrew's just doing one of his usual sort of traits where he's not going to make him out and out of a molehill? He's not going to look and pander, to excuses for a reason of his team not playing as well. But do you reckon there maybe was something more to the selections that Jonathan's referring to being a wee bit surprising than just being, trying to be smart or trying to be clever with the personnel?
Yeah. When you put it that way, I think you could be right there, because Juranovic, I mean, yeah, he's playing on the left, but he played on the left before. He played his first game for us on the left, and we were all thinking, if he's that good on the left, what's he going to be like on the right? But he was so badly out of position a few times that it was like, I've got up here, but I've just not got the energy to get myself back. So I'm wondering now, you mentioned that, did he put Juranovic on instead of a natural left back in Bernaby? Because Bernaby's maybe suffering even more, and is only really there as an absolute desperation stakes. We need to get you on. And likewise with the likes of Jota and Abada, I'm only going to put you on if I absolutely need you. And we obviously did need them to come on for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Regarding Forrest, he didn't have a good game, and I think it's showing now that Forrest is he's going to be all right to play against the games against Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United, and the likes. But I think his starting days sorry lads, I nearly said old firm there, but as a derby game, I think his days are past being a starter and I come on as a sub at best from now on, I think.
Yeah,
but you could be right about the bug situation. Yeah.
I've got an interesting wee segment. We're going to talk about referees second half of the show, right? And we're going to probably dedicate a large part to it. But I've got a wee curveball of a conversation for you guys to have, right? Now, yes, all is sunny, like the background on the broadcast tonight, right? All is sunny at Celtic and all is good. I made a point about a month ago saying, with hindsight, I remember, we'll go back further. 31st of August, 1st of September, the cry was Celtic's best transfer window ever. That was the narrative that was getting spun, not necessarily by us, but all across social media. Fucking hell, we've added a Danish international on the last day. This is amazing. Let's go through who's came in. And let's go through who didn't play at the weekend there in a massive game. Jens wasn't even in the squad. Who else is there? There's loads. I've not got them all.
Abelgarder's on the bench.
Abelgarder's on the bench.
Hacksaw
he was injured.
He'd have been on the bench, though. Let's be honest. He wouldn't have started. I don't think Ange would have started him. I don't see any way.
There's no evidence to suggest he would have, because he never started them in any of the other major European games earlier in the season. So I would agree with you. I think he'd have most likely benched him.
You've got Siegrist on the bench, a backup goalkeeper who was brought in. Bernaby not preferred to come on as left back for the first choice left back, so he's already a second choice. He's not even preferred to an unwell, potentially, and out of sorts right back to play in his position for him. And I'm beginning to start looking at that window. Aaron Moy came in as a free transfer. He came on off the bench, did okay. He did all right, in fact. He played pretty well, I thought. But on the whole here, you're looking at all the players that have came in and you're going, sorry, who are we counting on out of 6-7 signings in the summer to play in the derby away from home? I'll tell you what that was. That was an underwhelming window. We bulked up the squad when it wasn't the thing to do. It's very strange when you look at all the players, and you're like, what's the point in signing so many players that were just samey for what we had, if not as good? And I wonder, on top of that, Jonathan, if, like we speculated, Moritz Jentz's race might be run because he didn't even get onto the subs bench. It was actually Kobayashi who got on the bench ahead of him, having only been registered to be able to play since the 1st of January.
Yeah, I think it looks like Moritz Jens is probably done. I think I've just seen enough of him to decide that he's not willing to part with whatever the transfer fee would be in the summer to bring him in permanently. I think that's evident by the fact he's not featured him in the squad whatsoever in this game. The fact Starfelt also went pretty much immediately back in as soon as he was fully fit suggests to me that Ange Postecoglou is looking at that and thinking that Moritz Jens isn't the answer or isn't any better than what he has. So I think in some ways that's probably one of the benefits of the loan to buy options you do have there, is if it doesn't work out and the manager's not enjoying what he's seeing, then at least he's got that comfort that he's not actually wasted, a whole lot of money on him and then got him on the wage bill for the next few years. So I think that one is done. I think when you're looking at the transfer business, you're right. I think the only one who could have got into the team from the start would have been Haksabanovic if they'd all been available, and even then it would have been very doubtful. But if we're talking potentially
maybe.
Moy, possibly. I think for me, actually, I thought Aaron Moy might have started. I think Moy's came on to a bit of a game. It wouldn't have surprised me if Aaron Moy had started. I thought that was going to be the curveball before the game. I wasn't expecting it to be James Forrest. I think when he put Forrest in, if it wasn't for perhaps illnesses, the other reason perhaps he was looking at it was because he thought perhaps Forrest would offer a bit more defensively, and he was maybe expecting us to have our backs against the wall, which is naturally going to happen in spells at Ibrox when they've got a boisterous home crowd. They do pretty well at home on the big occasions over the past 12 months. You can't take that away from them, and he's maybe just thought if we've got Forrest in there as well, it might offer us a bit more defensive protection. But I think if Haksabanovic had been fit, he'd have been the only one who might have got in. And that is quite a damning indictment of the summer window when you're really looking at it and thinking that was a real opportunity to progress the squad a lot more, or certainly the first team. He certainly, you could argue.
Enhance it, Jonathan.
That's it. And, he was going into European games, and we all know what happened there. Fair enough, the performances were good in some of those games, but we didn't get enough points on the board, certainly not as many as we expected to get when that group was drawn. And I think it goes back to the fact that even if he'd had all of those players fit and available from the summer, I think he would have still went back to his tried and trusted players from the previous season. And I think that's something that Celtic will need to address in this window, although in fairness, they have made a promising start this time around, so hopefully that will be a sign of things.
You're stealing my thunder. Yep, that is exactly what it was linked. That's how we were linking it. The
thing with the transfer windows, and we've spoke about transfer windows now a couple of times over the last few weeks, and the first time is, you're right, when we spoke about the summer signings. I think it was, I brought it up myself on the Thursday night forum when Angie's closing speech was, we're going to be back bigger, better and stronger next season. And I asked the question, do we think we are? And I wasn't 100% convinced. And I think by the end of that show, we had decided, I think we had decided that first team maybe not so much stronger, but the squad overall bigger, better and stronger. But I'm beginning to think that's more because we wanted to come to that outcome rather than that is the actual outcome. Because I don't. Well, we spoke about it 2 weeks ago on the bar. January seems to be when Ange does his best business, and the reason for that, I think, is because the market he really wants to shop in. January is the time to do it. It's like back in the day, the Boxing Day Christmas sales. Everybody queuing up outside the various shops to get the bargains, and that's what Ange does. He's
waiting outside the J League shop window for January.
That's it. That's where he gets the best money from, isn't it?
The JJ League. Because the thing is, Johnny, that's again, you're linking it perfectly, because I've said a few times, I believe that the January window was Angie's best window. I think, Johnny, is that you kicking someone out the room there, mate? You're in the studio.
No, that's the wife. She's off to bed.
Sick of listening to your shite.
But
I think
he's not prick in the background.
So, with regards to the January window last year, I think that was the best window we had out of all of them. I think that was the window where, you're right, maybe he went, Johnny, to a market that he's comfortable in and he knew the availability of the players then. You know, you look at Maeda now, and again, I think it's easy to forget that his impact in the second half of last season was immense. You know, in terms of goals and assists, I think it was 6 and 5, something like that. He did really well. O'Reilly became a first team regular, you know, every single game. Hatate, you can't imagine the first team without him. That's 3 direct hits in the January window, which is normally the trickier window. Now we find ourselves, Johnny Logue, in a situation where the first glimpse we've had of our January signings, and we've made 3 already, by the way, is Alistair Johnson, aka Tiger Woods, as I have decided he looks like. And he was brilliant. I thought he had a brilliant game on Monday. That encourages me that, again, we might just be getting our best work of this season's transfers done in the January window. I'm not even going to try and say it. Funnily enough, that was easier.
Keep it simple. Yeah, Johnson did have a good game, although I think with the Kent goal, I think he got kind of caught out ball watching a bit, to be fair. When you watch the replays, he doesn't seem to be too aware that Kent's sits behind him, and he's quite tucked inside, and Kent, before the ball gets put out to Kent, and then it's maybe just a case of being match rusty, I suppose, because although he's trained with us for the last, 3-4 weeks, it must be at least that since he's last actually played, isn't it? And, you know, we always say, you know, there's a difference between being fit and match fit. So maybe just get up to speed a bit. I just thought he got caught out. Just on that one situation there, I thought he just got caught a bit ball watching. I don't think he was aware where Kent was.
We're probably in shock at Juranovic on the other side, how much he showed himself.
Well, Juranovic wasn't even the same fucking postcode, but, you know. But that's what I thought, you know. It might be a bit harsh there, but that's what I thought, like, you know.
Jonathan, I think January is where Andrew's going to get, again, his best business done for the 22-23 season. It's just a pity the Champions League doesn't start in February.
Yeah, that would have been ideal for us. Imagine if you could actually negotiate a group and be playing a last 16 tire, God forbid even being in the Europa League going into the second half of the season. That'd be a mouth-watering prospect with the business Ange tends to do in January. But yeah, he certainly seems to have a knack for this window. So I think he's gonna continue to do well in January, because I think Johnny's right. I think he is very much into these sort of Asian markets, which I think it looks like it's easier to get players in the January window as opposed to the summer. And I think it's a very refreshing thing from a Celtic point of view, because I can't really remember the last time before Ange Postecoglou where Celtic were this proactive and doing this much good business in a January transfer window. It just doesn't happen very often. Generally speaking, January transfer windows, you might get one like box office name. I always think of, you know, Robbie Keane coming
Craig
on the last
Bellamy.
day one year. Craig Bellamy, yes, you stole my thunder there. I was just about to mention Craig Bellamy. So there's
started already, Johnny.
Yeah, it started already. We're already expecting sudden death to be Celtic January transfer signings.
You need to change the name of the show to Sibling Rivalry, lads. That's what you need to do. Kane and Abel.
But yeah, I think, you know, when you're looking at January, I think Postecoglou has in his head what he wants to do there, and I think, you know, he's gone about it brilliantly in his first year, and it looks like it's going to be more of the same again. It'll be interesting though, because obviously we're going to have the summer as well, and as I've already said, and as most believe Celtic are going to win the league, then that means you're going to have that Champions League money once again in the summer. And Celtic should really be hopefully, you know, looking to approach the summer transfer window in much the same vein, albeit perhaps it might need to be in different markets. If the J League's easier to crack in January, you've got to still be looking at improving that first team in the summer as well, because there will be better players available that are going to be closer to home, perhaps, that Celtic should be looking at. And in some ways, I don't know if it still goes back to the old, we're going to have to shift quite a bit of money here to spend on one player, and if there's still that reluctance from the board, because even with the players we're bringing in, they're still in and around the same sort of figures we've always been paying. And I think that's one thing that I've always got an eye on and an interest in, if you like, is whether or not Celtic, you know, if they can consistently qualify for the Champions League. This looks like it's now going to be going a second season in a row into that competition. Do we think now, if they were to get through this, and we all expect they will, that Celtic will then, you know, let Ange Postecoglou spend, you know, an 8, 9, 10 million pounds on one player?
For me, it's whatever Ange, Well, right now we're in an interesting sort of scenario where people are going to join the dots here and go, Peter Lawwell, Celtic suddenly not offering for the South Korean striker, what is it they said, a bid that was worthy of whatever language they used to describe it. But it's sort of said, the bid wasn't one that we would consider. Now, we know that the price sort of range for the likes of, what is he called? Anyway, Goosung, I can't mind. But basically, you look at that and you go, if he's in a bracket of between £2 to £5 million or whatever it is, a guy who scored 2 goals at the World Cup, it looks like we've got a striker out going probably for 5 million plus, then surely that should just be a case of if Ange's identifying, go fucking get him. Didn't piss about here. And we've seen when we get business done early that it benefits, it's benefited the team undeniably. Maeda was arriving the 31st of December 2021 and was in the door for the 1st of January. Alistair Johnson came in and made a brilliant impact as well, I felt, on Monday. Obviously, we're still to see Kobayashi, we're still to see Ivata, but, we're hopeful, more than hopeful. One's the J-League Player of the Year, the other one's already instantly elevated himself to, at the very least, third choice centre-half, having not played a minute for us yet. So that's all boding pretty well there. But I also just feel that if there's a player that Ange has identified and we've got the tools there, Johnny, to go get them, then the price tag shouldn't really be coming into it right now. I think we need to go trust his judgment. And if that means the South Korean striker that apparently they've not received a bid that he thinks worthy yet, that worries me. And I know people will join the dots with Peter Lawwell right now. I'm loath to do it just because it gives me the absolute fear. But undeniably, it is a trait that we've seen many times in the past. Celtic lowballing for players that the manager wants. We can't go down that road again, Johnny. We can't afford to.
No, and I think with Ange though, like you said, he knows. We've said he knows that market, and he'll know what the value is or the going rate is, and he knows he's working within a budget. He said it before that he knows the budget he's working in is not going to be the same as a Premiership budget from England, for example. So he's not. I don't think he's going to go looking in an area where he knows the price is just going to escalate stupid, but it's within the budget we want. So if he doesn't get him, and it's because we wouldn't meet the asking price, then the dots will get joined up. You're right. But with this Korean lad, I hope they do sign him for one reason, really. Like, I've never seen the guy play. I don't know how you pronounce his name, much like yourself, but the way it's spelled, you could get away with calling him Chog, which is close enough to Logue for me, like. We'll call him Chogi. But he seems he's got a good rep, he's got a good reputation, and I've not read anything about any offers for him, to be fair, but I've read things about him saying that he's making positive noises, and that could just be to try and smoke out some other interests from other teams. Mm-hmm. But I think as that comment there says from James Maguire there, that if it comes to it, and Ange said he's the man I really want, get him signed. Yep. But the board will come round and say, well, are we going to spend £9 million on a player? Mm-hmm. Is he going to get a game instead of Kyogo, or is he going to even get a game alongside Kyogo? Because you're not playing Chaos alongside him. So it might come down to things like that. Mm-hmm. But right now we've got an opportunity here, right? We've got an opportunity to build from a position of strength. I can see Brown Warrior flooding the comments, this idea we need to sell to build. It's utter bollocks. We are cash rich at the moment. I agree, we are cash rich at the moment. We're in a position of strength. But undeniably, if there's players not getting their game time and they're maybe upsetting the apple cart in any way, shape or form, Andrew's going to be ruthless and get them out the door. I think the squad's too big as it is. So I do think there is at times, if there's an unhappy player there and there's maybe peak fees that you can get for them, I think we need to still explore it, unfortunately, Brown. I don't think it's a case of just retaining everyone, because you're going to end up with disharmony in the squad in a different way, that way. But I hear what you're saying. We're in a position of strength. I think there's credit in the bank for Angie's signings on the whole, right? But I do think, the window, the markets when he's shopping in for the likes of Cho Gu-sung, as the judge has rightfully corrected us. He's got that all wrong.
He's got that all wrong. But you think about that market and you go, I would imagine even to the player, if he's got potential suitors, I've seen a few names bandied about, of European sort of semi-big clubs that have been interested as well. I think the Postecoglou effect then comes in, because even if you've not been playing in the J League, even if you've just been operating in Asia, and just pretty big over there, I think we've all been able to sort of surmise that from the time that he's been at the club, that he's a bit of a big deal, lads, right? And I think the player would prefer, I would imagine, to want to play for Ange, and just, if the rumours are true, and they've been going on for a while now, Celtic's in the mix for him. So if Ange has identified him, then there shouldn't be a stumbling block to me. There shouldn't be one. Get it done. Get on with it. And that's what we want to see carrying on. With regards to the summer window with further Champions League money, it might become even more ruthless. It might be, if Matt O'Reilly's form doesn't improve, that we take 10 million for him and we put it back into the squad. But as long as we're not downgrading left, right, and centre. That was an example, by the way. That was not me.
The one thing if they were to go and sign that boy, no, right, if they had to pay, I don't know, a bit over the odds or a bit more than what Ange's been paying in that market, apart from Q, if you had to pay 5 million for him, Ange would say, you'll get that money back in Korea off his shirt sales alone in Korea, because he's mad over there. Again, so there's the merchandise and the branding over there that goes through the roof, because I've said it before, the Asian supporters, although they support their clubs, they tend to also follow the players that leave their clubs and go to Germany, Scotland, England, whatever. And so the big news, and Ange will sell it that way. You'll get your money back on shirt sales over there on its own. Well,
this bizarrely, Jonathan, one of the things people now look into with new signings, it's the new age, Jonathan, got to keep up with the kids these days. But one of the big, apparently, and you'd think Lawler would be all over this if he was putting a stumbling block on it, is he's got 3 million Instagram followers, which apparently is a bit of a big deal. Now, I don't know how that all works, but apparently they reckon that would lead to shirt sales that would be nuts if he signed for Celtic. Do you know what I mean? Based on that alone. So, the return's probably there as well. Again, it could be that we are still very much in the race for it. It could be that the media are trying to make out we're lowballing just to try and get a negative slant. Who knows? Because right now, we're dealing, as always, with the media, Jonathan, of narratives that are, oh, you're paranoid. Oh, there's a rule for IFAB that you're allowed to cover your face with a ball. And yeah, Willie Collum definitely knew that off the top of his head within 30 seconds, even though there's 10 years of evidence. He doesn't know the rules to basic footballing decisions when he's on the park. He randomly, Jonathan, didn't even need to revert to the textbook. He just knew that IFAB rule right there and then, and within 30 seconds could correct John Beaton. We are going to be now up there for ridicule, by so many sections. I was listening again to the phone-in tonight, and it's, so what do you want really to happen? Do you not think other clubs feel hard done by? And we're talking about Celtic here. We're talking about the decisions that have went for Celtic and against Celtic since VAR came in. And honestly, it's night and day how many are going against us compared to the other teams. It's not even about compared to other teams. It's their gift to complain about decisions that have gone against them if they think there's been loads.
Yep.
Us being vocal about it is absolutely right. One thing people don't like is they say, when you enter the discussion, though, you can't just throw about terms like conspiracy and things. That's fine, but there isn't a discussion right now. It's confusion right now. And the reason I say that, Jonathan, is because actually a discussion involves two parties. Right now, we've just got football fans arguing amongst themselves with a governing body who deploys these people, right, into these roles, pays them handsomely to carry out these roles. They don't get engaged. They don't give you any reasoning behind any decision. They don't publicly come out and acknowledge when they fucked up. So see when people talk about, for example, with handball, there's inconsistencies because it's subjective. And this is going to turn into the subjective season, right? And all this bollocks. It's like, okay, so they would say, for example, I heard tonight, well, would you rather that the Goldson handball was given even though it was wrong because Celtics had wrong decisions against them? And I would say, if Celtics had wrong decisions against them, who's came out and admitted that? No one. So at no point has that been acknowledged. So take that argument completely out of the equation. Right now, they are playing complete poker with us, I think, on how they're dealing with these calls. And they're doing it from behind the curtain, unquestionable. You cannot challenge them on anything. all we can do is get lost in the vortex of social media and things like that and end up being quote tweeted and getting made to look ridiculous without actually any sort of feedback from the people that are responsible for these decisions getting made. They seem to be a closed shop, yet have all the power. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I think, and it's just something it's always been there. I kind of feel, even before VAR was introduced, if you got questionable decisions, you would never really have referees coming out and offering an explanation as to how they reached that decision, and VAR's probably made it 10 times worse. In the sense, you've now got not only the on-field referee potentially making a mistake, but then the VAR guy in the van or wherever he is also then confirming a mistake, and he's having the chance to look at it a few more times. And it does lead more towards people beginning to think that there is perhaps some sort of vendetta against the club, and it gives you a bit more evidence towards that side of the argument if that's the route you choose to go down. I think VAR has been a total and utter shambles since it's been brought in, which is a surprise to absolutely nobody either, because I think we all expected that to happen. The SFA should be communicating it better than they have. I feel the referees could do a far better job at least letting us know how they're reaching these decisions. If there is a case for the Goldson one that they're deciding that's because he's put his hands up to block it in his face and they're quoting these rules and saying that's why the penalty wasn't awarded, my return to that would be, well, that's all well and good, but he's almost tried to volleyball it. He's up there with his hands. They're not quite just out, protecting his face.
There's a push out at one point. You're 100% right.
I just don't think it's quite the same as, if he's done like that or something, and it's quite clear he's just done it to avoid smashing him square in the nose. You could maybe have taken the argument a bit more for me, but even then, I still think that's a penalty, and particularly when you consider how muddled the handball rule has been so far this season. The inconsistencies with it have been absolutely ridiculous when you look at some of the games we've seen penalties given for this season for handballs, and then some games where they haven't been given as well. I don't think anyone understands the rule, let alone the bloody referees. And it would just be nice if we could get some clarity from the SFA. And I don't think Celtic are out with their remit to be asking for that. I think Celtic have every right to be asking for that, provided it's done in the correct way. But as soon as Celtic tend to make any sort of inroads towards, questioning the SFA, it all of a sudden becomes a conspiracy. That's what the media narrative becomes, and then it almost turns into, this is Celtic being paranoid, and it's almost as if you're not allowed to question referees in Scottish football for some bizarre reason. They're above being questioned directly by the SFA, and the club should just accept mediocrity and accept poor decisions and accept the fact they're not going to get an explanation for it. And for me, that should all be changing. They should be looking at how things are done in other countries, because yes, in England, VAR is not perfect either. It's not perfect, but it is better. I think there is a little bit more communication, certainly between the viewers and even the broadcasters, for example. They've got like Peter Walton and whatever in there who at least, is giving you lifetime feedback on BT, for example, as to why a penalty's not been given or something.
He's like a former referee, isn't he?
He's like a former referee, Peter Walton. So he's at least giving you some sort of background to it as well. And I think there's just so much more that could be done to try and help the understanding, Johnny, with the fans in it, because I'm totally baffled half the time by VAR. And I think even when you're looking at that, the Goldson one probably doesn't look like a handball when you watch it in live time because it happens so fast. But when you look at that in slow motion, I mean, for you, would you say that's just complete incompetence from them not to have given a penalty for that?
Yeah, I mean, like, so, as you just said there, Jono, the Goldson one, when I was watching the game on the telly, when Stafford hit the ball and it went flying over the bar, I wasn't screaming for a penalty. I just thought it was Stafford was sclaffed the fucking thing over the bar, the usual sort of centre-half attempt. But when you see the action replay, well, that's a fucking penalty. And I thought, they must be looking at it, and they didn't. Now, if we go back to the communication and explanation, is tell us what we're doing. What you've got to think about, what you've got to remember is that we're all supporters and we're all customers. We all support our teams whichever way we can. I can't go to games because I'm too far. I can't get to many games. I'm too far away. Yeah. Also, you work on a Saturday, so you can't get to games. But you support it in other ways by your merchandise buying, and I know you boys buy a hell of a lot more than I ever do. But your subscriptions to Sky Sports and all the rest of it. So we're supporters and we're customers. And any business that doesn't look after and explain things to customers is going to lose them. Although they're not going to lose us because we're too entrenched in it, one way or the other. They know we're not going to walk away from it. But I know you mentioned before we came on air, Russell, about the referees being mic'd up. And I can't understand why they don't do it. It's so simple. My brother lives in Australia, and I went out to visit him. Been out a couple of times, but they're well into the rugby league over there, and they watch it. Every game's on live, or if it's not on live, it's recorded and played immediately after another game's finished. And the referees, they explain every decision that gets made. If there's a try scored, that you hear the referee speaking to the guy in the box. I just want you to check. And then he'll run through what he wants to. I want you to check the number 15. Did he knock it on?
Yeah. I've heard it.
Yeah.
And it might, because I don't understand the rules. My nephew's a qualified rugby league referee, and even after he explains it to me, I say, "I got no fucking idea what you're talking about, James. But if you're telling me that, I'll take your word for it." But they go back about 3 or 4 stages to check something, and then if they disallow the try, they give an explanation right there and then. The television audience hear it. And I'm pretty sure the crowd in the stadium hear it as well. And that's something that Mark goes on about, isn't it? VAR, it's for television audiences because you guys in the stadiums, more often than not, got no idea what's going on and why something's been called off. It's dead simple. We live in a technical world. It's as easy as that.
2022. And see if they want to say it's going to cost a wee bit more. Well, as Kevin 14 was saying in the comments just a wee bit earlier, Celtic's paying the most for this as it is. We're paying the most, like out of all the.
I'm always the one. I'm always the one.
It's like this is mind blowing. So if it costs, we could probably club together on the bus and afford enough microphones for them all to use for that to be. That's not an expensive addition. I just think this is where you get to the nitty gritty. Why wouldn't they want that? What is the advantage of them? Oh, and the argument tonight I heard on the radio was, well, the other European leagues don't do it, so I don't think there's an appetite. Fuck the other leagues. There is an appetite for it here. Because, let me tell you something as well, only 11, 12 years ago, there was a referee telling a linesman to lie. They wouldn't have wanted that mic'd up, would they? And people forget about stuff like that, and they forget that's why you're paranoid, right? These are facts. Do you know what I mean? That literally happened. In collusion on the pitch during the game, telling the other to fucking lie. That is madness. So you can't put that on a mic, can you? Willie Collum, whatever reason he gave, unbelievably, if he definitely is quoted to John Beaton, the IFAB rule in 30 seconds, Jonathan, then more power to him. But I just don't
play. I'll quite happily, I'd be like, you know what, we're like, fine, I can see why you didn't give the penalty then.
But do you know what? Do you know what? Because then we would be sitting there going, that's a fucking stupid rule. That's a fucking stupid rule. But that would be really our beef, wouldn't it? That would be the beef going, well, that rule needs change, which is a shitey argument. But I would much rather be being petty about it than going, hold on a minute here. How did you arrive at a decision that wasn't worth John Beaton even looking at that quickly for something that looks to the non-educated football fans' eye as pretty stonewall? I think Steve O'Mac comes in saying the easiest opportunity for transparency that will satisfy fans, but create a must-see here content, which is true because I think it would be box office, it would be popcorn if they were mic'd up. Mic them up. The SCB have a chance to be progressive with this. No other leagues do it, as far as I know. That's what I was just saying there. No other leagues do it. And that doesn't mean we can't. That's the problem. And I do genuinely think we would maybe end up at times in certain situations with a bit of egg in our face, Jonathan. There'd be occasions where we'd go, actually, now I've heard that conversation, bastard, didn't agree with it at first, kind of can see where they're coming from. You just get the feeling, though, that ain't going to be the case, and they'd be exposed.
Well, I was going to say, when you say egg on their face, I think the more likely people to have egg on their face would be the referees rather than the paying viewers more often than not. And I think the Scottish referees couldn't think of anything worse for them than being mic'd up. I don't think they'd be keen on it whatsoever because I just think they muddle their way through everything. I think even from what you could see of the little clips at Ibrox, I think there's points where John Beaton's pretty much saying, you can almost see him mouthing, it's not my decision to make. I think it's the penalty. He's saying when Cal McGregor's asking the question about why it's not going to VAR. So I just don't think that the Scottish referees would not put up with it for whatever reason. I think it's blatantly obvious because I think the conversations are things they don't really want other people hearing for whatever reason. I think it comes down to incompetence. Personally, I don't think they fucking have a clue what they're doing, and I think those conversations would be illuminating at just how poor the standard of refereeing is in Scotland. And I think their little concern would be, being vilified even more by the fans because they've been an absolute James Hunt of the situation, and then they're getting mic'd up to hear about it more. But I think mics are going to end up coming into the game. People are saying, "Oh, they're not in any other league yet." Give it time; they will end up in there. People didn't think VAR was going to ever come in.
I think
the Australian League. The A-League has it,
Is that backwater league that you're talking about that we snatched Angus Postecoglou comes from, yeah? Once again, showing us the way forward. But, John, sorry to interrupt you there, but the question I want to ask is, why is it not John Beaton's decision? He's the referee. The VAR is an assistant. It's meant to help him, not tell him. And if they think, I think maybe you should have a look at that. He didn't even go and look at it. I mean, I can picture Willie Collum in that caravan or whatever it is that they sit when they're watching it. It'd be a bit like Chris Kamara on Sky Sports. We're going to go over there because we think there's a goal. And he says, "What is that? Oh, I've never seen that."
This is a system.
That's what Willie Collum must have been like, I think. He says, "Oh, was that a penalty? Oh, I don't know, didn't see it. Fuck it. Don't bother."
You don't know, though, Johnny. The issue you could have here is Willie Collum maybe has told them to go and look at them on, and maybe beat on Surrey and said, "Fuck yeah, I'm not going to have a look. I'm fairly confident with my decision.
Fuck it, I'm giving them fuck all."
So you're saying he's looking at the players going, "It's not my call. It's not my call." When actually he's going, "Fuck off, Willie. I've made my call."
He's pretty much just doing it discreetly, getting the old hand over the mouth, and then be like, "Yeah, no, not my decision. Sorry, Willie, you're being ignored. Can't hear you, Willie. The line's a bit bad."
You're breaking up.
Yeah, but I think there does need to be far more clarity on it. I would welcome mics being brought in. I think if it was to kick off in Europe and you start seeing it brought in there, which I think will happen in time, because I think VAR was something that people didn't expect 10 years ago. I remember when they started bringing it into the tennis, VAR, and people thought it would never end up in football at that point. And then years later, it eventually found its way in, and I think Australia is probably ahead of the game with having the referees mic'd up, and it's the next logical step. I could absolutely see the English Premiership going and doing something like that in the next 4 or 5 years. And if that starts coming into the major leagues more, and it's more in your face than what it is just now, that's going to put a lot more pressure on Scotland to follow suit. And the argument of not having enough money to do it just doesn't fly with anyone whatsoever. Scotland will never be the pioneer of this as much as they should be. I think it would be an absolutely brilliant decision and a brave decision. And I think in some ways you might find the referees do get cut a bit more slack if you can actually hear what they're saying. But there's just absolutely no chance. For some reason, referees in Scotland, they're like protected species. You are not allowed to question them. That seems to be the rule of thumb. No matter how big of a fuck up they make, they're just going to be allowed to get away with it.
Quite incredible, isn't it? £900 for 90 minutes work, and nobody can question if you've made a mistake during your shift. That's good work if you can get it, guys. That's good work if you can get it. I mean, obviously, it's something that's going to rumble on this season. We knew we'd be talking about it after that game on Monday, no matter what the score was. I do think it's far, Scott. I don't give a I'm happy that we got the point that we did at the end of the day, because I think it was a great display. But the fact of the matter is, when you're looking at these situations, all I want is a referee to be afforded the chance to correct maybe a decision he's got wrong. That's what VAR is there. Go have a second look at that, John. Rather than just standing like this, like a plant pot in the middle of the pitch, just holding an earpiece, no one knows what's going on. Tell him, make it obvious. Go look at the screen. There is a distinct possibility this is clear and obvious. Go look at the screen. That's what it's meant to do. The fact it's not, the fact we don't get any explanation, the fact we can't hear their conversation, it just is always going to then keep us, spitting venom about it, being paranoid, as they all want to call it. Where really, there's a conversation to be had as to how a lot of these decisions are being arrived at, but we will move on because it is that time of night. On comes the main man, Phil McGinley. How you doing?
Hi guys, I'm alright. How are you all doing?
Good, man.
Yeah, always good. Always good to see our own video assistant referee making an appearance on the bus.
Aye,
Big Willie Collum, what's happening?
Yeah.
oh no, no, I haven't.
Sorry,
Very
can't
cool.
hear you, Willie.
Who is a good one you could pick, mind you? So no,
No,
there's
He's
none.
probably the best of a bad bunch, Phil. I would take it and run.
Oh, dearie me, dearie me. But yeah, it's almost time, guys. It's a Wednesday night, but yes, Sutton Deaf still goes ahead. It's all the same Monday club shenanigans, just on a Wednesday night. So yes, the battle between the BOYCE'S brothers continues. It's going to be a good one tonight. I'm looking at my crystal ball already, and I could sense it's going to be a high-scoring game. Just telling you that right
you
now.
say that. You say that.
I
right.
say that,
Come
and
on, boys. Come on,
I
son.
am
Comments
confident.
are off.
Right, let me do all the
Comments are off.
aesthetic setup just now. Let's do all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, got to set the
Oh,
mood.
yeah.
You know, got to get all that in place. Background
Welcome,
music,
Johnny,
galore.
into the
Yeah.
I'm just
studio.
going
Sibling
to
rivalry.
sit back and enjoy this.
Yeah. There you go. Yes, indeed. So, aye, we got 4. So, yeah, we're Sudden Death at 6-5 just now to Russell. Jonathan is on a good run. Is that the last 3 you've won on the bounce, Jonathan?
Last 3 I've won. It's been 3 in a row, Phil. Yep. It's getting closer.
Good stuff.
I can almost
good
feel
stuff.
the sweat coming from Russell Boyce as
Boy,
we
oh
speak.
boy. Well, there's one more thing that we need to do. This will bring on some nerves, some sweat. We need to obviously cue the music. Okay. So, yeah, it's a penalty shootout game. Obviously, the boys have got 5 shots each at this. Obviously, the one who scores the most at the end of it wins. Now, Jonathan, I know the answer already, but the mandatory question is, you won the last time. Let's go first or second?
We're going to still continue going first into the new year, Phil.
Okay, first it is then. Okay. So tonight's question has a very generous 24 potential answers.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of answers in the pool. So guys, in 2022, we saw Celtic return to the Champions League. Remember the days when Celtic were actually semi-good, especially at home in Europe? Remember those days? Reminiscing?
Yes.
So tonight's question is a very simple one. I just want you to name any team Celtic have beaten in a European group stage game at home. There's 24 answers.
At home. Okay.
European group stage games at home.
Just
Any
the
of them will
groups.
do. Yep, just the groups.
Okay. Just the groups. I will start us off with Manchester United.
Of course, Man United is indeed correct.
AC Milan.
Yeah, of course, AC.
I will have Barcelona.
Oh,
Mhm.
good.
Barcelona, yep.
Shakhtar.
The next is correct.
Very good. I will have Benfica, please.
Benfica is correct. Yes.
Spartak Moscow.
Spartak Moscow is correct. Yep.
Juventus.
Juventus is also correct. 4-3.
Rosenborg.
Yes, indeed, Rosenborg is correct.
Copenhagen.
Aye, Copenhagen. So 5-4 to Jonathan. I think we're going to hit some sudden death here.
Porto.
Yeah, what was the correct answer? 5 apiece after 5 shots each. So we'll have a maximum of another 5 guesses, and if it's still tied after that, we will have a tiebreaker question, because we might be guessing all night, and I don't want to keep you here for hours. So, yep, 5 each after 5. So, Jonathan,
Go all night here, Phil. I've still got a few left in the tank.
Oh,
How about Anderlecht?
Anderlecht is indeed a correct
Yeah, it
answer, Jonathan.
Leon.
That was what I was going to say.
Leon is a correct answer.
Villarreal.
Villarreal is a correct answer. Yes.
Oh shit. I don't know. Struggling. Ajax.
Ajax is the correct answer.
Oh
Yes.
no, Ajax is the correct one. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Oh no. Don't do this to me. Come on, there must be another one.
Come on, time.
Whoa. Give me a minute here. I just have to have a wee think.
You've had it ages.
A wee think. No, don't start questioning.
This one isn't like the big fat quiz where, the sudden death's a bit different,
Sudden death's a bit different. You get a wee bit longer in sudden death.
He's
Russell,
playing for time
come on
now.
now.
He's playing for time
I can play for as much time as I want. I don't think I'm going to get one here. I'm struggling. I'm going to have to just guess somebody. I think need to be playing Europe. There might be a right answer. I can't even think of one, man. I'm gonna say Rosenborg.
They've already been said.
Said it.
They said already.
Yeah.
Russell's already said that one, so that's a
fair enough.
miss.
Fair enough.
The momentum swings back to Russell, and he can win it with this one if he gives me a right answer.
Well, at least I know now. I now know I've got half an hour.
Yeah,
It's a time.
that's it.
Aye.
Zenit.
Zenit is the wrong answer. So it's still tied.
The Europa League game we beat
Was
Zenit
it
in.
Europa
Russell.
League?
Callum McGregor, was that your thinking
That was
of?
a knockout game. It's group
Yeah.
stage games I'm
Knockout game
looking
as
for.
well. Yeah. Leipzig.
Red Bull Leipzig is a correct answer.
Oh, I'm out. Hold on. Thanks to the countries. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Valencia. I don't
Valencia is incorrect. It is
I was
now
thinking of Valencia. I'm pretty fair.
each in the scoreboard.
Come
Jonathan
on! He's back!
has levelled it up. Now, Shane,
I'm raging.
I
From
get the
6-2 down to 6 each. Wow. What a bottling job you have just done, sir.
I get the feeling that the two of you didn't quite listen to the question because you were struggling and there's a lot of answers that you should have got, because the question was to name any team Celtic have been in a European,
not Champions League.
not Champions League only, because the Europa League has been group stages since 2000.
Oh, I just thought Champions League.
So the
did I.
teams that you didn't get, because when you said Leipzig, that was a
That's
Europa
what I
League
thought. I
one.
was like, that doesn't
That's what
make
I was
sense.
thinking as well. I was thinking,
Aye.
did we beat them in the
But
Champions League?
what I can do is when I was telling you if you're right or wrong, I wasn't saying, oh yeah, this year in whatever competition. So
Very good refereeing, Phil. Appreciate that.
So the right answers
Excellent
that you
job.
didn't get were Astra, Cluj, Dynamo Zagreb, Ferencvaros, Hapoel Tel Aviv, Lazio, Lille, Real Betis, and Stade Rennes. Were all the ones that you didn't get. But yeah, you were. I could tell as it was going on. You were very homed in on Champions League. I was like,
I just thought it was Champions League.
Both of us have the same brain at times.
European group
Mine's just
stage.
slightly superior, Phil.
There you go. So it's 6 each now on the scoreboard. How exciting is that? You love to see it. From a viewer point of view, that's what you want.
He's
Neck
back
and
in.
neck. Oh, he's back
back
in.
in.
This is a bigger comeback on Liverpool in Istanbul this. Until next week when I go in front.
Did you think it was just Champions League, Johnny?
I'm on mute.
No, you're not.
Oh, I thought you muted me.
No.
No, because I've got a couple down there. I was just trying to remember, like it's Ferencvaros, and I couldn't remember whether we played in the Champions League. I'm thinking because I knew we played in 2 seasons on the trot, didn't we? Lenin's.
We played them in a Champions League qualifier and then in Ange's first season in the group stages in Europa League.
I was trying to get the right round.
Said European.
I had Real Betis and I had
Play the
Cluj.
tape back.
Go to VAR.
I said a European group stage game. I've got it written in front of me on my notepads. The question I read it out word for word. Simply name any team Celtic have beaten in a
Everyone
European
thought the
group
same,
stage
Phil.
game at
You got
home.
Everyone. Hook, line and sinker.
Everyone will. As long as I'm a bird. Where's Willie Collum now?
That's fine.
Sorry,
Listen to
Willie,
it back
he's
all
not-
you
he's
want.
not
I know that I
available.
said European group stage. Because I said group stage, that'll have thrown everybody. Because
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Phil. I vaguely remember you saying that now you mention it.
European group stage game. And especially when I
I'm sure
said,
you did, Jono.
even when I said there was 24 potential answers, surely that would have made you think, we still beating 24 teams
I
in the
was
Champions
generally
League. How could it possibly be
I
24?
was thinking we've done pretty well at home. We've done all right for ourselves.
24 overall in European group stage games because the Europa League has been group stages since 2009.
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, aye. There you go.
That's what happened. Ah.
I'm surprised you
Gutsy.
didn't chuck a Europa League group team in there, Russell, after that.
Well, that's what I was like. There was a couple I thought of, and I was like, no, don't go with them. Ah, that's annoying. Willie Polymorphous. Willie Collum here. He definitely Willie Collum. I wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw. That was good. I enjoyed that, Phil. That was a good question. Good memories as well. Good memories.
Aye. Back in the day when we could actually win home games in Europe.
Mind those days.
Oh,
good.
Reminisce about them all the time, mate.
True, mate. What's happening tomorrow in Nostalgia?
It's not tomorrow, it'll be Friday. What day?
Friday.
Oh, it's Friday. We're going back to a wee era we've not been in for a wee while. We're going back to Gordon Strachan's first season, 2005-2006 season. There's a few interesting storylines there. Obviously, Mad Vlad takes over at Tynecastle, and they were serious title contenders for about 12 games and then imploded. Rangers managed to finish third in a 2-horse race and also got to the second round of the Champions League somehow, despite being bang average. And you've also got other stories like Roy Keane signing for Celtic that season. Gretna in the lower leagues, getting to the Scottish Cup final and all that stuff as well. So there's a lot going on in 05-06. And of course, it couldn't have started any worse for Gordon Strachan. But of course, it ends very well for Strachan that season.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good because it was also the transition of like Thompson's and Stephen and change of the old guard and all that carry on, you know.
Sliding door moment.
It was indeed.
Yeah, that would be good. I'll be on. I'll join you.
One.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. Right, okay. Well, tomorrow's the TNF, the night you guys take the keys, and we've fielded a lot more of your questions. Do keep your eye out on your notifications. Get the bell on because around 9 a.m., 8 a.m. tomorrow, 8 a.m. I think we'll go for Judgment Day will begin, and you will get the episode 1 of Judgment Day will be uploaded and live. Well, not live, but live on the channel, if you know what I mean. We've recorded it already. But that starts tomorrow. TNF at night, Nostalgia Friday, post-match per Saturday. What more do you want? And Steve O'Matt's coming on Sunday.
Hey.
So fun games. Looking for and the Sunday play there in the morning. Jeez, it's all happening on the bus.
Jam-packed bus.
You can't stop the bus. Good night.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.